Imagine hiring a nanny who seems perfect, charming, nurturing, relatable. You trust her with your kids. Then one day she disappears, and in her place, you find a note that reads, I stand shoulder to shoulder with the coroner that I did not murder my daughter. No one asked her that question. No one even knew that part of her past. So why write that note? This is the case of Samantha Cookes and how some people can't stand the idea of letting anyone else tell their story. Welcome to Revealing the Crime, where we explore true crime, manipulation tactics, and the psychology behind criminal behavior, especially cluster B traits. This channel is for discussion and education, not diagnosis. Viewer discretion is advised as some topics may be disturbing. Let's uncover the truth one case at a time. The story we're talking about today, I had never heard of. It hasn't been turned into a Netflix series, at least not yet, but it did get major coverage through a two-part documentary called Bad Nanny. There's also a companion podcast called The Real Carrie Jade, which dives even deeper into Samantha's multiple identities. What we're going to do today is go through this article that was published in the Daily Mail, and then I'm going to talk about this one trait that just screams out at me. And this trait is preemptive reputation management. Imagine covering for something that you haven't even been accused of yet. That's basically what we will talk about towards the end of the video. This article is titled Mother Reveals Chilling Note She Found Exposing Fraudster Who Had Been Posing as a Nanny to Her Kids. The article begins A mother of three has recalled the chilling moment she discovered a note revealing the dark secret of the scammer she'd hired as a nanny after she'd fled the family home. Layla from Tullamore in Count Offaly, Ireland, hired a woman called Lucy Hart to look after her children in 2015, at the time believing her to be a Mary Poppins style au pair. However, Lucy Hart was just an alias masking the nanny's checkered past. Her real name was Samantha Cookes. Under different guises, Samantha claimed to be an award winning writer, an expert in autism, and also said she was suffering from a terminal illness and was eventually exposed to have had 6 different false identities, including Carrie Jade Williams. Cooks was jailed for 3 years in March after pleading guilty to 2 counts of deception and 16 sample theft charges, having snagged government welfare payments. Now, for the first time, some of Cook's victims are speaking out about their traumatic experiences in a two-part documentary made by BBC Northern Ireland. And the title of it is Bad Nanny. One such victim is Layla, who got on well with Cooks when she first hired her as a nanny for her 3 children. However, before long, cracks began to show in the scammer's squeaky clean image. When she and her family began to ask questions about Lucy's background, the scammer disappeared, telling them she was going on a writer's retreat. However, while vanished into thin air, Cooks left behind an ominous note, which Layla discovered, and it left her fearing for her children's safety. The note read, I stand shoulder to shoulder with the coroner that I did not murder my daughter. Speaking on the documentary through tears, Layla said, Who have we had looking after our children? I have to admit, I've never heard of this phrase standing shoulder to shoulder, so I had to look it up, and it means to be fully aligned with someone, united in support, agreement, or solidarity, especially in the face of adversity. It carries the implication of being on the same side, sharing the same position or belief. So this really was confusing to me because why would Samantha write this note? So then I read a little bit further in the article, and it says, and not just why would she write this note, but why would she leave this note in Layla's home? Was this in a way to scare Layla? It's just really strange. It doesn't make this is the part of the story I don't understand, and we'll talk a little bit about it after we're done with the article. In this part of the article, this is where we find out that Samantha had given birth to her first child in 2008. Her name was Martha, and the child died on the day that she was due to be given up for adoption. The father said, I found out that baby Martha had died from a local newspaper report. The article continues and says an inquest into the baby's passing in 2009 revealed that Martha passed due to accidental suffocation when a V shaped pillow wrapped around the neck while her mother was sleeping. 4 years later, in 2013, the circumstances into baby Martha's passing were to be re examined by the High Court due to concerns over her passing. I apologize that I switch words out. There are certain words that get flagged by YouTube, so I'm trying to not say them too many times in this video. The article continues and says, however, by this point, Samantha Cookes had been reported as a missing person to UK police. The case was closed, and Martha's 2009 accidental cause of passing still stands today. So, what's going on here? This note is being discovered several years after the child has passed. It seems perhaps the reason that Samantha has changed her identity is maybe to not be held accountable should she be required to be held accountable for the passing of Martha. And why would she write this note and leave it at Layla's home? This seems to me to be preemptive reputation management. People with cluster B traits, they don't want to just look good. They want to be the one telling the story before anyone else even opens their mouth. It's not enough to avoid blame. They need to preempt it. They need to shape perception before suspicion even forms. They need to plant the narrative so deeply that when you finally start asking questions, the answers are already colored by their version of events. And this is the chilling paradox. Samantha was gone. She was no longer in the house. She was no longer under scrutiny. No one was interrogating her. No one was accusing her. And yet, she still left behind this note. I stand shoulder to shoulder with the coroner. That line comes out of nowhere and implicates more than it defends. So, what was she doing with that sentence? Was it an act of desperation? Maybe she knew Layla was starting to connect the dots and panicked, leaving behind a moral alibi. Was it a pity move, a twisted attempt to create sympathy, to remind Layla, I'm a grieving mother, I've been through enough? Or was it calculated? A psychological seed meant to influence Layla's perception long after she disappeared, something to keep her from going full scorched earth. This is preemptive narrative control in action. People with these characteristics cannot leave interpretation up to others. Even in their absence, they need to craft the version of themselves that you carry in your head. Even while fleeing, Samantha couldn't let Layla be the narrator. She had to frame herself as a wronged woman, not a manipulator. That note wasn't a defense, it was a script. Samantha didn't just disappear, she left a final scene. This is how manipulators behave when they lose access. They still want control. They still want to author the ending. Whether the note was a cry for help, a manipulative decoy, or a twisted souvenir, it tells us one thing. Even when Samantha walked out of the front door, she still wanted to control the room. Before we wrap up, I just want to take a moment to say thank you truly. Your comments, your support, it just all means so much to me. I was really inspired by the Sidley twins, and if you know them, you know that they encourage viewers to put their generosity towards causes that matter. And I absolutely love that. I think it's such a powerful way to use this space. So, if you're thinking of sending a super chat, first of all, thank you. That kind of support never goes unnoticed. I'd love for you to consider donating to the National Domestic Violence Hotline instead. They offer 24/7 confidential support to people in crisis, people who are trying to escape toxic and often dangerous situations. Every bit of help can make a difference. The link is in the description if you'd like to donate. And as always, thank you so much for being here. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.